So we had a very serious case come before the courts where a man is convicted of sexual assault. And then it's followed up by a load of, I suppose, what you could be charged to be described as psychobabble on the internet afterwards, sort of justifying it almost, or if not justifying it, at least putting a weird context on it. Shane Flynn, tell us about his case and what happened when he came before the courts.
Okay, so Shane Flynn is a 35-year-old man from Mullingar in Westmeath, and he was found guilty before Mullingar Circuit Court for sexual assault of a client. She had come to his gym. He's a gym owner. She'd come to his gym. It was called NGS at the time. It's now called Recode in Mullingar. And she was looking for, not only was he a gym instructor, he also had a qualification for more neuromuscular treatment. So she had scoliosis and severe back pain. So she'd come for treatment like many other women.
A massage, basically.
Massage, yeah. But it was obviously like a muscular massage for treatment for serious injuries. And she reported to the Gardaí that he sexually assaulted her. I think it was January 2021, and he denied this. And it went to trial, and he was found guilty. But he did admit a charge that had come simultaneously of secretly recording 35 women in his gym.
Yeah, so presumably that came out in the aftermath of the other charge. So this woman, what did she describe as what happened to her? Which ultimately the jury accepted that her version was accepted by the court.
Yeah, so she said she had gotten different kinds of treatments she had scoliosis and also back pain, and was into exercise, so she wanted to be able to do this more easy. And she had received other treatment before, but she'd heard about Shane Flynn and his gym. So I think she had a few online consultations because this was during the COVID pandemic. And then in January 2021, she went for a session, and she said that he instructed her to strip down take off her bra and her shorts. So she was just wearing a thong as it was described in court. And then when he made remarks, he came back into the room quicker than he should have. And then he made remarks basically saying something along the lines of, I would have taken them off quicker myself. And then he continued to make comments. And then he touched her, she said, in her vagina area, on her breasts. And he was making suggestive remarks the whole time, saying, do you want, basically suggesting that...
Yeah, she used the term, do you want a happy ending? Which is
exactly.
a kind of a colloquialism for that's been used for years and for people for like a sexual service at the end of a massage.
Exactly. And then when she made it clear she didn't, he made a remark saying, well, you haven't seen me with my clothes off. And she said she left the room and she felt extremely upset and vulnerable. And I think family members actually noted when she came out that she wasn't herself. And then she obviously went to the guards.
Yeah.
And then...
So, I mean, we don't know the exact sequence of events, but we can only presume that after she went to the guards, that the guards investigated it. And then subsequently, the guards certainly got evidence of footage recorded by Shane Flynn from inside the gym where he has massaged a number of women. Some of them are topless, and he's recorded all these hours over many, many cases.
Yeah.
Clearly now that was also what he was done for sexual assault. He's also done on a specific charge, which is, I'll just read it out. It's a charge of offensive conduct of a sexual nature by making covert digital recordings, basically.
Yeah.
So presumably, as the guards investigated, they get their hands on this footage.
Yeah, and it was 18 hours that they found of filming these 35 women, and it's described how he was constantly, they weren't identifiable, but he was constantly moving the camera so that you could see these women and their breasts exposed. While it was described that nothing that was recorded was non-consensual, there were some women who felt uncomfortable and asked for their clothes. Could they put their clothes back on? And obviously nobody was aware of what was going on. And then he told Gardaí that he was going through a rough patch in 2018 with his girlfriend, and that he admitted to recording footage 10 or 12 times. But obviously there was a lot of hours found on this footage. It's transpired that this was going on for 2 years, because it was actually from 2018 up until August 2020 that the Gardaí found footage of.
Yeah, so I mean, all of that is, deeply disturbing, really, because people, when you're going to getting any sort of treatment of a medical nature, you have to put trust into people that you're
Exactly.
going to, like whether this is for women or men,
Yeah.
whether it's a doctor or a therapist of any type. You trust that they know what they're talking about and they're not, abusing that trust. And that's why, it's a very serious criminal offence for a doctor to step over that boundary that it wouldn't be in a pub. Like, he's an unusual character, Shane Flynn. Obviously, I think it would be fair to say he's a big fish in a small pond in Mullingar. A very well-known guy. The funny thing about all of this is that even after he's convicted, so he went on trial, we were getting the court copy into the desk. He was it was just described as a man. He was unnamed. After conviction, he's named. It's clear who he is. And then he continues to put up these sort of bizarre Instagram videos where, because he's one of these guys, he's not just a sports fitness coach.
No.
He's also like kind of a lifestyle guru, somebody giving advice on your psychological state and giving sort of this sort of, what would I describe it as, kind of wellness, kind of, psychobabble, I suppose.
Basically, yeah. And what was strange about the social media interactions was that he came on the week that he was found guilty, and he was visibly upset on the film, but he doesn't actually say, that he did anything wrong. He kind of talks about, you have to own your truth, and you have to, this kind of, as you said, psychobabble, where you say you have to look in the mirror and you have to step into your truth and all of this kind of thing, and admit when you're wrong, but then when you're right, you also have to stand in your power and all this kind of.
Because he obviously denied the charge and made the woman go through cross-examination to get up on a stand, I presume, and to give all of that. Like, so he's just been convicted of a serious sex offence, and I'll read you out some of it. He's urging people to be forgiving. Sometimes you need to choose forgiveness. Very rarely are things from the conscious mind, as you are being controlled by the subconscious program. It stores all your memories and hides the ones that may not serve you. Opening that door to heal is the secret to a healthy life. Like, it's just odd, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just to say, and I would be, it's not just him coming out and saying, I've done something terrible and I'm really, really sorry. He's still advising other people on how to live a healthy life.
Of course. And he's also talking about how people not being loyal, calling people rats, and talking about how talking about how people can, put all these things behind them, and you just have to let go and have patience. And, but if you came into that completely unfamiliar with his story, you would think that maybe he had just gone through a tough situation, that he hadn't been convicted of an extremely serious crime, putting a victim through a horrific ordeal, also pleading not guilty as well, which, because he originally pleaded guilty to the covertly filming charge in May.
Yeah, because they had the evidence.
Because they had the evidence. So Tom Chew, the court reporter, has been following it since then. And he, all summer long, he was putting up different social media stuff, and he was also engaging in other public practices, knowing that this was ahead of him, and then he's trying to preach to people. And
I don't know if your conscious mind is being controlled by your subconscious program. I think it probably means unconscious mind rather than subconscious. But so here's another bit of advice: bide your time and so on, and that's all you need to do. So choose what it is you need to let go of, or how you can step back from the wrongdoing and look at the behaviour and say there's something not right there. Again, it's all this kind of third person lifestyle advice. Honestly, I would be very wary of people giving wellness advice.
Of course.
In general.
Yeah, to be fair, you're probably not the target market for it.
No, I'm not.
But at the same time, people can say what they want on social media, but you also have to put a bit of context in there. And this is somebody trying to sort of, it's almost, I felt like he was saying, despite all the haters, because he did talk about, considering suicide as well. And he kind of putting it out there, despite all of this horrible abuse that I've suffered, here I am. And here I'm a strong person, and I'll get through it. And, obviously nobody wants anybody to be considering suicide, but at the same time, he's not really explaining the reasons behind it. He does go on to apologise later on, but there is a lot of, as you said, psychobabble, and a lot of kind of talking about, it's almost like a poor me man spin on things.
Yeah, I mean, he does ultimately, after the case, and having done a couple of videos, where he kind of, in one of them he says, every day in the clinic, I try to tell people about the power of being honest with yourself, about looking in the mirror and holding your hand up, especially to things that you might regret or have guilt over. It doesn't matter what that is. So, but then ultimately he does eventually say, I wholeheartedly apologise to those that I've hurt, disappointed and betrayed trust by my actions a number of years ago. I deeply regret and always be ashamed of my choices. So like, if you look back on his social media history, he has a lot of young women commenting all over a long period of time.
Yeah.
In particular, and he's also a kind of a well-known guy. He's been very involved in some GA coaching as well in the area. He appeared on
RTE. Yeah, he appeared on, and this is a show about where you're put through your prices by military experts.
Special Forces.
Hell Week.
Yeah.
So he appeared on that, and he was giving advice to people on that as well. Ultimate Hell Week, yeah. And he's a business owner. He had 14 staff members. Yeah. This woman that was sexually assaulted, she heard about him. She was recommended to go to him. So he was well known in the area as well. Yeah. So he's employing a lot of people as well. So it is, as he said himself, a breach of trust, but it just kind of seems like it's all very convenient for him. The first videos were all kind of, I've been put through this and, am I great to come through this without really being honest. And then, yes, the apology does come, but you kind of think, is it because of the media, the negative media coverage that's out there?
Yeah. I mean, he does. Look, certainly the coverage came, or the apology came after the coverage. I mean, there's that is no doubt.
No.
So he's currently on bail.
Yeah.
He's still out he's allowed continue to work in the gym, I think. I don't know if the courts have the power to ban that or not, but they have put conditions on how he can work in that. Yeah.
So he has to be chaperoned in his gym if he's doing classes with female clients, and he also is basically not allowed to have one-on-one contact with female clients, which as a gym member myself, I would find that very disconcerting if, you have a gym instructor, because you are trusting them that they know what they're doing and that they're, that the classes that they're doing are safe. So, for to be in a class with a man who's not actually allowed to be on his own with women is just very strange, I think. But I suppose that is a bail condition that was imposed for women's safety. So so he's not allowed to be on his own with female clients. And he is going to be back up later this year for a pre-sentence probation report. Yeah. We haven't heard any of the mitigation yet.
No, I mean, I think as well, just to read out a bit of the victims, of the woman's victim impact statement, because it gives, obviously he's had a say using social media to have a say.
Yeah.
But she says, after this happened to me, I completely lost my spark and became increasingly anxious. I had to take time off from my job as I processed what I had been through and availed of counselling supports. I never really experienced anxiety before this happened to me, not crippling anxiety anyway. I found myself overthinking what I was wearing, how I presented, wondering if I was too friendly towards people, all of the things I asked myself when I wondered why this happened to me. So again, you can see the long-term impact of something like this. And she then says, this week I had to face the man who did this to me. This man has significantly impacted my life because I trusted him to provide a professional treatment to help me with my back condition.
Yeah. And what the woman is saying there is it's a familiar hallmark from a lot of these sex assault and rape cases where women are basically made out to be a certain way in court. And he claimed to Gardaí when he was first arrested and spoken to by Gardaí, he called the woman gamey.
Yeah.
He claimed that, this isn't what happened, that she was actually the one overstepping the line. So, and then he completely contested the allegation as well. So, she had to go through court and go through the evidence and go through, all the suggestions that, it wasn't non-consensual, because essentially it was her word against his. And this is always the case.
Yeah.
He pleaded guilty to either charge, but as you said, there was video evidence there, so he was banged to rights. So this is what women have to go through, and they have to face their attackers in court, and she had months of this. And I don't think we've said as well that one of he did send her a message in the aftermath of the incident where he said, my testosterone went through the roof. I wasn't expecting that. So, you know, so this is, you know,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
woman
look,
being very honest about her ordeal. And, you know, when you see, as you said, he did have his say on social media. When you see what he was trying to say, he was obviously suggesting that, you know, he didn't do it because he was saying, you know,
Yeah.
you accept some things and you have to stand for what you believe in. But he was ultimately found guilty, and it was her word against his. And, you know, some people don't go through for that reason, knowing that they're going to be probably pulled apart in court. But she stood firm, and, you know, she has had justice, and we'll have to obviously wait and see what the sentence is.
yeah, I mean, the judge summed it up and said there was a predatory aspect to the crimes committed, and I suppose the judgment of the court is clear. It's not something that's left in doubt.
No.
So we'll come back to this case.
Yeah.
The sexual assault we heard during the court hearings can result in a maximum 10-year sentence of imprisonment, while covert recordings can result in a 2-year jail term.
Yeah.
Now, it's very unlikely that those sort of terms are going to be handed down, because there will be mitigation and
Yeah.
other things to take into account. So we'll come back to it again, but yeah, it's an interesting case that shows how social media interacts with the courts, and, you know, also how you should be wary of, you know,
don't listen to somebody who's
don't listen to that sort of
somebody on social media. Yeah. You know, but it's just scary as well. You know, somebody, as you said, somebody's going for treatment, and, you know, aside from the sexual assault conviction, which is obviously horrendous, you know, you also do have these women who didn't know they were being recorded. They weren't identified. They probably still might be. Maybe they're wondering, was it me? Was it not me? And you just, you know, the comments he was making, you're in some nick. Just the toxic masculinity as well, that this guy is, you know, very well known for his business, and obviously looked a certain way, and just assumes that he can go on like this, and that, you know, he'd get away with it. And you know, if he hadn't have done the stupid thing by filming, maybe he would have. So it is scary in that sense, but at least now people can see
the truth,
him for what he is,
rather than the talk.
Exactly.
Thanks very much, Eimear.
Thanks, Niall.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.